Well, welcome everybody. This is a quick tour of my uh, speed run, air quote speed run base for Factorio, where I managed to launch a rocket in 14 hours and 32 minutes. So the rocket's already up. But what I wanted to do, because I think there's some really good learning points for anyone trying to get to do those speed achievements. So this was the no time for a chit chat achievement, completing the game in 15 hours. The next one will be to do the complete the game in 8 hours, which is called There Is No Spoon. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there, but this is a heck of a lot better than the first time I played the game, where it took me, roughly 80 hours to get to a point where I had the rocket launch. So let me give you a really quick overview of the base. I'm going to use the map mode and kind of zoom in and out. So there's the full map. You can see I pretty condensed. I think I could have done a little bit better to keep away from running around. Like right in the center, there's kind of a blank space where I probably could have had everything kind of compressed a little more to the left. But I wanted to not get myself in a bind. I was pretty much able to run everything where I needed it to go pretty quickly and easily, but probably used more belt than I really needed to. But so some highlights: the starter base sits kind of right here in the middle. This is the base in the box. It's a blueprint that I really like for the early game. So you can see my initial iron was right here. My initial copper was right here, and my initial stone was in here, but it all got used up. So it was a pretty good, and you had water right there. So and then the initial coal I can't remember where the initial coal was. I used it all up pretty quick. But yeah, I put the initial starter base right there. I think, yeah, this was the initial coal, so it's all gone too. So you have coal, iron, stone, and copper, pretty close to each other, which is why I chose to take an attempt at this map. So I had those done. I started the starter base here using that blueprint, which is really nice because it gives you all the belts all the way through red belts, and all the inserters through the red inserters, the factories through the blue factories, and it actually gives you green, red, and gray science, all in one pretty compact base. It's a little fiddly putting it all together. Like some of the conveyor routings in the middle are a little bit, precise, and there's some, separators and things that in there that get kind of tricky. But it does include science, which I've torn up all the science, but the science will sit over in here. So usually the red and gray will come down here, and it puts quite a number of labs down this top side. But I pulled those all out because I moved them into the final science. So that was the core base. From there, I started to expand, and I put my oil field, oil production up here. I did have an oil problem on this map that probably kept me from delivering it as fast as I would have liked. I only had 3 pump jacks. There was only 3 spots that were close. But I first ran the pipes up to there, got the basic oil production running off of those, but eventually I had to expand out further to get more oil. So I went up to these, and I thought this might be enough. So this was an additional 8 pump jacks, but even this didn't get me to the end game. I started to run out, so I had a total of 11 that I thought might get me there, but if I'd been more efficient, maybe they would have, but they didn't quite get me there. So as far as where I went with copper and iron, the copper ore field was right here. You can see I've pretty much totally roasted that. It used to be a pretty big field. I think it was about 700,000 or 800,000, and it's down to 80,000. Actually, my original copper field has more left. So this is the copper field that feeds this base. This copper field then feeds the 4 smelting columns. So I did all right on copper and steel in this game. I did not feel like I was running low. I felt like I had a lot. One thing that I think I definitely should have done better was, you can see I balanced the ore with the balancer so that all the smelting columns are getting the same. I think I could have balanced the output too, to help. But but that's okay. And then steel, I had four. Well, I had four iron plate smelting columns and one steel smelting column. That seemed to be fine as well. Never felt like I ran dry of that stuff. And this is the steel, the iron field. I think it started at 1 million. I'm down to about 383. So that one worked pretty well. And I liked the positioning on this map where I had the copper here, the steel here. I could smelt into the middle, and then I could place all my factories into the middle with iron coming from above, copper coming from below. So I think I've got lucky that the copper held out. Way over here in the southwest is my stone field. I had a radar dish there. I guess they probably knocked it out. But this stone, you can see I only had three mining columns, and that was way more than enough. So you don't need a lot of stone, but I had to have more than was in my original base. This was a super small patch right here that was in my original base. That ran out pretty early, so I had to make a journey over to here, fight off a biter nest, but not too bad. So as far as expanding the factories, getting the higher science going, I did this kind of blueprint arrangement of green belts, and that was okay. I probably could have doubled that up or done, instead of four rows. I should have done 3 and then 3 more, and that would have been way more than enough. I did start to run out of green circuits a little bit. It's always a problem for me. Red circuits, same thing, started to run out at one point. This seemed to work pretty well, though, better than past games. But you can see my plastics are just dribbling in at this point, the plastic bars, which I'll explain my problems with oil next. Then over here is a blueprint I found, which was really cool, that it does all the sciences all the way up to the rocket launch. So I found this blueprint, and I used it for most of the stuff. Maybe I'll link to it in the notes, but it really is nice because it does the entire sciences from red and green. Now I left red and green and gray over here. I started to put it over here, but I said, what am I doing? Just run it across the belt. So you can see that those sciences are just coming across on belts into the science factory. But the blueprint does come with red and green here, which is interesting. But I just used the blue, purple, yellow, and then the rocket components, rocket fuel. I forget what these are called. And the rocket control units and all that stuff feeding into the rockets. This also will have a factory that puts together your satellite, which is nice. It actually even does the solar panels and everything that are needed to support the rocket or the satellite. So that's pretty cool. And all the input here are all marked with these combinators that show you what to put in on the different belts, the red, green, iron. So it doesn't require anything but circuits, plastic, some fluids. This is light oil, sulfuric acid. So it doesn't require you to be inputting, purple science, which is the pain. All the purple science is integrated into the factory itself, which is nice. And it seems to be pretty well balanced. I think it was struggling with rocket control units, but that was because I didn't have enough red circuits going. And the reason I didn't get enough red circuits going was because I didn't have enough plastic going. So you can see my plastics factory right here. I had the petroleum gas coming in from this side, and I just never seemed. I struggled with oil for quite a while. Over here, I for a while I had these factories going doing solid fuel, and having the solid fuel feed into the power generation. So in the power generation, I don't know what this is. It's probably about 50 or so burners in the 3 columns, and that seemed to work fine. I actually ended up bringing coal down from above instead of using the rocket fuel, because I was trying to get to the point where my rocket factory is going. I wanted all that light oil, light oil to be going over here for the rocket, because this all requires light oil, and you can see how slow that's running. It's just it just wasn't working that well. Yeah, you can see well, these are full of oil now, which is good, but it required me to go all the way up here to get more oil. So again, I started my small patch of oil, medium patch of oil, and then the super huge large patch of oil, which I only put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put it at about 14 pumps up here, but that was quite a journey. Got chased by biters. You can see the biters roaming across, attacking everywhere. So here's a bunch right now coming down. Yes, you can see they've been chewing up the laser turret. So the biters definitely caused me some headaches. They're gonna start chewing on this stuff now. So it's painful. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So again, 14 and a half hours to launch in the rocket. I'm glad I got that achievement done. I really do wonder how easy it is going to be to do the, you can see my turret coverage there. It's pretty good. Pollution, not too bad. RoboPort. So I did use bots to help build. So, one of the first things I did after I got oil was put in place a very small factory right here, just to build construction bots that inserted directly in a RoboPort. So it was just basically a one lane, batteries, circuits, and through to the robot frames, the engines and all that stuff. So basically directly inserting the robots into the RoboPort. And basically that was to help me build out the smelting columns. So I did that first, then I used them to help me build the smelting columns. Smelting columns are all with steel furnaces. So I didn't do stone furnace smelting columns. I don't know if that's the right way to go or not, but that's what I decided to do on this run, and it worked pretty well. The bots were able to build those, pretty consistently while I was off, putting other stuff down. So I had bots build all these smelting columns and all these smelting columns, and then the green and red circuit factories, and eventually all these factories were all built by the bots. So if you look at my logistics network, I ended up with 255 construction bots and 12 RoboPorts, which was bigger than I thought I would need, but I just let it go and keep building robots, one at a time. As far as other stuff that I built, if you look at my production items, about 1 million steel plates, about 600K copper plates, 260K green, 37K red. I did a lot of laser turrets. So biter harassment was worse than I thought it would be. And I didn't do walls anywhere, which maybe I should have done some walls. But you can see here how big these there's a huge biter base right here. It's harassing me. I really should have gone and cleared it out. I started to at one point, and it was just going to take too long. So I have quite a number of turrets around, because they were harassing these locations pretty consistently. Here too. So the southern, just below my copper mining fields, you can see the biters there, and then yeah, they harassed a little bit up here, and then we just saw them going after this secondary oil field. This is a huge base right there. So I think my pollution was starting to bother them pretty big. So power distribution, again, RoboPorts was pretty much centered on just getting factories built. I didn't use any logistic bots or any request for provider chests. Just the nice thing about this factory is, once you get the ports, you just put the passive provider chests on all the different components, and then once you have that, then plop down your smelting fields and your production facility, your larger production facilities, and the bots just take care of it. But So for me, learning from this, definitely needed more oil. I probably should have picked a map with better oil, but it took me quite a while to find this one that had what I felt was a good setup for the other things and didn't have a lot of water and cliffs in the way, and woods. There was a little bit of woods, but not it was all pretty manageable. Coal, you can see I had to come up here to a pretty big patch. I started to do 4 lanes of coal and really ended up just bringing 3 to the base. So you can see these spiders still. Now they're chewing on the belts over here. Definitely pretty aggressive at this point in the game. So yeah, so I won't continue on this map now that I've launched a rocket. I mean, you can see here that I basically, once I got the rocket researched, I plopped that down and I cut off all the sockets because I wanted all the green and red circuits and all the resources. So I just cut the conveyors here that were feeding the rest of the factory just to divert everything into getting the rocket launched to try to make that 15 hours. And I made it with 28 minutes to spare, which was good. But I think I could have probably shaved about an hour to 2 hours off with a little bit better planning and managing the oil a little bit better, because I still wasn't happy with how these were running. You can see I was struggling to get, I actually turned off all these fracking factories here and just used the fracking here from heavy to light, but I turned off all this petroleum production to try to get the light oil going, and I think I got the light oil going better, but now I'm struggling with the petroleum. You can see there's nothing going on here. This should be cranking plastic bars, and it's just barely getting a dribble of petroleum. So I got to figure out how to do my oil production better. Something I'm doing wrong there. That in this end game, I want to have tons of oil, and maybe this just needs to be a bigger factory. Maybe that's the bottom line. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's running pretty consistently, now, but it wasn't for sections of the game. It was frustrating because I ran it almost dry of oil, and yeah, these tanks are full now, which is nice. They were empty for a long time, so I guess this field is, this far away field is kicking in. They aren't even running right now, so they filled up the pipeline. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Thanks for listening. Good luck in your Factorio playthrough, but yeah, this was a good learning exercise for me, and I'm really happy to get the No Time for Chit Chat achievement. But let's see if I can go for the 8-hour one. It's gonna be a challenge. So, thanks. If you have any tips or hints, please put them in the comments. Thank you.